Diego Area Journalist of the Year. This award is because of the one story which rocked our community for months. The Riches to Rags story, the fall of Mayor Bob Filner.
He's a news director, folks, he needs help.
That's right.
This is MacGyver way of doing it. Oh, wait.
By the time Bob Filner won the San Diego mayor's race in 2012, he'd already served 2 decades in Congress and had a couple of stints on the school board and city council. That was the public story. But there was another story that remained private until one woman, a former political ally, spoke 7 months into Filner's mayoral tenure and accused him of sexually harassing women.
And they are not to blame. Bob Filner is to blame.
Well, they did offer specific details, accusing the mayor of a long-running pattern of sexual harassment and even assault. They say that the mayor has a modus operandi, a way of getting women alone and forcibly kissing and touching them.
I'm Eric Anderson. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, they are 4 women in positions of power, and all of them say they were targets of inappropriate behavior by San Diego Mayor Bob Filner. And they're talking exclusively to us.
Hello, good evening. After weeks of controversy and accusations, San Diego Mayor Bob Filner is resigning effective in 1 week. It's part of the settlement deal connected to a sexual harassment lawsuit filed by his former communications director. She is one of 18 women who accused the mayor of making unwanted sexual advances.
The key point, of course, is that Bob Filner steps down as mayor at 5 p.m. next Friday. The city will pay for and provide his legal defense against the lawsuit filed by his former aide, Irene McCormick Jackson, and claims by other city employees or contractors.
It took me aback because I thought, is this the world that we're leaving to our daughters, where sexual harassment is a rite of passage, where it's rare if it doesn't happen to you? And it's just extraordinarily upsetting. So, we hope we can change that.
Well, it was a tremendous, extraordinary team effort that was led by one newsroom's managing editor. To introduce us to this year's winners, the news director for that newsroom, KPBS's Suzanne Marmion.
Thank you. They say behind every great man there's a woman, right? So KPBS is the public station here in San Diego for the PBS and the NPR affiliate. NPR stands for National Public Radio, but you might be forgiven given our pledge drives and our, testing. Do we know how to talk into a microphone anymore? So KPBS is the PBS and the NPR station. NPR standing for National Public Radio, but given our pledge drives and our comparatively meager budgets, some people have called us non-profit radio in the past. But given the resources we have, what we do have is valuable people. The type who know the worth of accountability-driven reporting and old-fashioned journalism ethics. I thank SPJ for thinking creatively this year and giving this award not just to Mark, but to the entire KPBS newsroom. And we've got Sandhya Dirks back there. She was just in the video. Yay, Sandhya. and Lori Hearn, and I'll be getting to you guys in just a second, but it's really kind of an unusual way, it's the journalists of the year, which is really pretty special. Mark and the news team have transformed KPBS into the little station that could. Many were surprised when we broke the story about Mayor Filner. 7 out of 8 of the first women to finally come forward came to KPBS to tell their stories. Sharon Bernie Flowers back there tonight, which is amazing that she came. Irene Cormac Jackson, who didn't come to us yet, is back there too. And Donna Bry. Some people asked me when we broke this story, how are you guys doing this? They actually thought there was some sort of conspiracy theory. And this is something that goes with the territory in public media, I think, that there's some sort of conspiracy theory going on. But in this case, maybe the Democrats were feeding us tips that would bring down a leader who was a Democrat. Didn't really make sense. No, KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma worked for many weeks on tips and with the women, but they were too scared. They weren't ready to come forward. Eventually, they would come forward to her, but until then, we wouldn't take anonymous sourcing on a story with so much potential impact on the city of San Diego. Amita and Mark worked with Lori Hearn, who bolstered our efforts with her investigative expertise as editor at iNewsSource, partnered with the KPBS investigations desk. iNewsSource teams up with us on data-driven stories and on other projects, and they just brought home an investigative reporters and editors medal for their own reporting. What more could you ask for in a partnership, except that they also mix a mean, dirty martini? On the KPBS news team, other key players in our coverage included Claire Trageser, John Rossman, Haley Persinger, Gina Diamante, Peggy Pico, Maureen Kavanaugh. It truly does take a village. And last summer, KPBS got a brand new Metro reporter. She barely picked up her swipe card to the building when she was covering fast-breaking developments in the mayor's office. Sandia Dirks jumped in with both feet selflessly and reported the first interview with Laura Fink about the mayor's behavior. She and the other women who came to Sandia and Amita said they came to KPBS simply because they trusted us that we wouldn't sensationalize their painful stories. No conspiracy. Sandia went on to produce the story that I think answered the question of why so many women hesitated to come forward for so long. I tweeted out a link to it earlier tonight. I think you should get a chance, watch it later, and you'll see that it's these women who are truly the ones who held an elected official to account. Of course, those elected officials aren't held to account without the light that all the journalists in this room bring to shine on what they do. It takes shoe leather reporting and responsible vetting, and it takes hard work, something that Mark Sauer is no stranger to. When Mark applied to work at KPBS as our senior editor in 2010, he endured an interview with the entire newsroom, peppering him with serious questions. He assured the team, and he's shown them in the years since, that he would work with reporters to ensure that we bring context, accuracy, depth, and balance to our coverage. But he also said this about our journalism. Let's face it, folks, this is not hot tar roofing. It is our privilege to tell stories for a living. And if there was ever a man who could tell a story, it is Mark Sauer. Mark doesn't get a byline much anymore because he's been passing on his passion for storytelling to the next generation of reporters. But he was the one in the trenches every single day of our Filner coverage, working behind the scenes with the whole team, reporting at KPBS for TV, for radio, for the web, and he empathizes with the struggles that go along with multimedia reporting. He jumps in and he helps out with a write-through of a web story when a journalist is rushing to meet a broadcast deadline. Every day he also leads our morning news meeting, where there's always more stories to tell when we have reporters to tell them. So he helps us pick our stories carefully, Climate change may not get ratings, but he understands it's one of the biggest and most underreported stories of our time. Don't let his terrible puns fool you. Mark is a profound thinker. This is Mark's 40th year as a journalist. It took him nearly that long to finally find us at KPBS. Besides being our senior editor, he also analyzes the week's news with San Diego journalists on the KPBS Roundtable. Mark has been nominated for Pulitzer Prizes for exposing false accusations around rape, murder, and child abuse. He's won the Sauer Award for responsible journalism. And now, along with the KPBS News team that he torments with his corny jokes, but the team that he loves, he is SPJ's Journalist of the Year. Mark Sauer.